All right, I think we can get started and then more people will be joining as we move along. My name is Nelly Zayed. I'm with Newton Education Services. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. This is an information session about the American University in Cairo's Executive Masters of Business Administration. Um, I'm happy to share that our panelists tonight, we have a great group of people here to talk to you about this wonderful program. Um, and I want to also share the agenda for the evening. Uh, Marwa, would you like to share your presentation? Okay. Thank you. All right, so you're gonna first hear from Marwa Sweden, who's the Graduate Programs Director at the AUC School of Business. And then we're gonna move on to hear from Dr. Ayman Ismail, who's Associate Professor, and Abdel Latif Jamil, Endowed Chair of Entrepreneurship at the American University in Cairo, Mr. Mustafa Shineti, Managing Partner at Zilla Capital, and Ms. Injil Baroui, Managing Director at Softy. Just housekeeping, we see you, you're here. So because I know you don't see everyone else who's on the webinar except for the panelists, but we are aware that you are here. You can type your questions a lot as we go in the Q&A panel. You'll find it either at the bottom or at the top of your screen. And we are pretty sure we're going to answer all your questions during the presentation, but in case we don't, we'll make sure we go back to your question and answer it. So it's where you see Q&A, that's where you need to type your question. We're also going to be sharing the website, contact information in the chat box as well. So you can feel free to copy and paste that anytime during the presentation. I'll now hand it over to Marwa to give you an overview of the program. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the webinar today. I just want to start before talking about the Executive MBA program. I want to give you a very brief facts about AUC and School of Business. Yes. So AUC, the American University in Cairo, stands as a leading English language institution renowned for its commitment to academic excellence and cultural diversity. Also, it's accredited by the Middle States Commission on Higher Education in the United States. As you can see, we have a very big, humongous actually portfolio. We have graduate programs, 52 graduate programs. We have 39 undergraduate programs. Our alumni exceeding 46,000 alumni. We are 5 schools at AUC, and the undergraduates enrolled students are 5,372, with graduate students 1,161. As the School of Business, it is a leading school at the American University in Cairo. We have 6 graduate programs that includes the MBA, the Executive MBA program, the SEMS, or the International Management program, 2 economics program, and the Masters of Finance. We also have undergraduate programs, 6 of them, and then we have executive education programs, 60 plus programs. Moving to the accreditations, the AUC School of Business proudly holds the prestigious Triple Crown accreditation, a mark of excellence achieved by only selected few business schools worldwide. The prestigious entities are AA CSB, which is an American institution, the AMBA, which is dedicated completely to the MBA programs. It's a British institution, and then EQUIS European entity as well. So each of these accreditations reflects our commitment to delivering a high-quality education that meets rigorous international standards. Moving to the rankings and the endorsements, AUC School of Business is consistently recognized as a leader in business education, reflected in our impressive ranking and endorsements. We are proud to be ranked among the business schools in the Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region, by various esteemed publications and organizations. Moving to the Executive MBA program. The Executive MBA program consists of 20, the duration of it's 20 months. It's 23 modules. The 23 modules are divided actually on 5 sections. The classes are over the weekend because we understand quite well the restriction and limited time of the executives. So everything is tailored upon the executives. So classes is over the weekend. It's only once per month. It's a full day, so it's from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. We have 2 international live-in weeks when the students travel abroad to different destinations. We don't have electives. It's a step-lock program, and we don't have a thesis track. So moving to the designing of the program. So the EMBA program is designed specifically for experienced executives, as I've already mentioned before, who are managing demanding schedules. So we understand quite well the restriction of time that they do have. That's why it's an modular format. Moving to the faculty, usually our faculty comprises industry experts who bring a wealth of practical experience to the classroom. So beside their excellent academic records, we recruit faculty who has practical experience, so they can bring lots of experience to the table, to the classroom as well. Moving to the international faculty, we pride ourselves on the diversity and caliber of our faculty. Approximately 50% of our instructors are from prestigious international partners like Nova Business School, Imperial College in London, ESC Paris, INSEAD, RSM in Netherlands, and Stellenbosch University in South Africa. So this global perspective enhances your learning experience and exposes you to different business practices and cultures. This is actually a very good segue to my next point, which is the 360-degree view of the global business landscape. So the School of Business offers unparalleled international exposure through our immersive live-in weeks, where students travel to 2 dynamic destinations, such as Europe, China, USA. During these weeks, participants engage with partner schools, gaining first-hand insights into local business practices and exploring emerging markets. Additionally, as I've already mentioned before about the recruiting international faculty from Europe, we also have a collaboration with a partner school in Africa where we provide valuable insights into the untapped opportunities within our continent. So this unique combination ensures a comprehensive 360-degree view of the global business landscape, equipping students with the knowledge and perspectives needed to thrive in today's interconnected world. Concerning the networking opportunities, actually, it's one of our most valuable aspects of the Executive MBA program, where you connect with or have the opportunity actually to connect with peers. You will engage with fellow executives and industry leaders, creating connections that can lead to new collaborations and opportunities. Moving to the practical learning methods, actually, our curriculum emphasizes real-world application through case studies, simulations, group work, and projects. So it's not about the traditional way of delivering the content, like in slides and professor explaining things, but actually about collaborative and shared experience and knowledge between the students and each other. Yeah. One of the things that we actually extremely proud of is that AUC and School of Business is a leader in the educational experiential part. So what we are promising you is that we are going to support you professionally. So we offer personalized executive coaching. This one-to-one guidance helps you identify your strengths and areas of improvement and development. So this is just to give you an overview of the EMBA program. As you can see, the 5 sections, here they go. Section 1, the general management, where you study about economics, about change management. Section 2, for example, about accounting, marketing, strategy. Then moving to the third section, which is the managerial global leadership, where you learn more about Africa, about negotiation, about entrepreneurship, about supply chain also, And then moving to section 4, corporate governance and business and legal environment. Then ending with section 5, which is the integrating project. And I leave Dr. Ayman in a couple of minutes to talk about the capstone project. So these are samples of our international partners that we usually pair with them in order for our students to travel to. So we have Kellogg, this is one of the top management schools around the world. SEEBS, this is China, Europe International Business School, and AMS, which is Antwerp Management School in Belgium. This is a very interesting slide as well. As you can see in the first start, the AUC School of Business stands out among global programs for its affordability and at the same time optimal duration, making it an attractive option for professionals seeking high quality executive MBA experience, without the financial strain often associated with similar programs. For the second one, as you can see, our school also combines affordability with top-tier accreditation, ensuring that students received a world-class education organized by leading accreditation bodies. So this is in a nutshell, a very quick comparison, because I understand quite well that people would be confused about what's the difference between the MBA program and the executive MBA program. So this is in a very quick way to show you the difference. As you can see, the structure, the executive MBA program is more of a modular format over the weekend, while the MBA, you have regular classes, working days, it's from 6 to 9, and it's semester-based. The duration for the executive MBA program is 20 months. For the MBA, it's 2 years. The program type, both of them are academic programs. We don't have thesis track in neither of them, but we do offer capstone project and consultancy project as well. For the executive MBA, it's 23 courses. For the MBA, it's 12. The average years of experience is from 15 to 17 years of average years of experience. For the MBA, it's 3 to 5. The average years also for the MBA, it's around 38 to 40 years old, while the MBA, it's usually 25 years old. Moving to the next slide, the student body consists usually for the executive MBA, C-suite level, top management, board members, family business owners. As for the MBA, it's more of a early level or entry level employees, aspiring young individuals, and career shifters. Faculty, as you can see, international faculty, 50% of the faculty teaching in the executive MBA are from international partners, mainly Europe. And for the MBA, it's AUC faculty mainly. The international live-in weeks, we have 2 obligatory international live-in weeks in the executive MBA and 2 different destinations. As for the MBA, it's just optional. It's a summer abroad for 2 weeks. The requirement for the executive MBA, minimum 8 years of experience. For the MBA, 3 years. The fees is 34K for the executive MBA and 25 almost for the MBA program. So the program requirement, minimum, as I've already mentioned, minimum 8 years of experience, English language proficiency, this is a must. This is an admission requirement, not a program requirement. Letter of commitment. The GMAT is not required. The application deadline is November 30th. The tuition fees, I've already mentioned this earlier. We have definitely a relaxed payment scheme if you are interested. We have fellowship as well, a financial support or a funding option, which is the fellowship. So you can receive up to 20% waive from the program fees, and up to 70% of the students who apply for the fellowship, usually they get up to 20% off. So these are some of the pictures that the students have already taken while they're traveling in the live-in weeks abroad. It's in USA and in, as I remember, maybe in AMS in Belgium. Yeah, and one in China. Yeah. So if you want to take a screenshot or a photo for the details, please go ahead. Anyway, Nelly will be sending all of the details and the information to you by email.
Yes.
So thank you so much for
So all in
listening.
the chat box as well right now.
Okay, super.
Great, thank you, Marwa, very much for all the useful information. I want to remind everyone to please type in your questions in the Q&A panel, the tab you will find at the bottom or at the top of your screen. I'm now gonna hand this over to Dr. Ayman Ismail, who will moderate this conversation with Mustafa Shiniti and Inji Barwoui. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nelly, and welcome everybody. Very happy to have with us two of the program alumni, and we want to talk to them about their experience in the program. And I'll also use the opportunity in the middle of the conversation to introduce two of the courses in the program, the two that I teach, one relating to entrepreneurship and the other one relating to the capstone projects. So Inji and Mustafa, let's start with Inji. Would love to know a little bit about your background. Who are you, and how did you get into that space? So tell us a little bit about your professional backgrounds.
Perfect. Well, thank you for being here. I'm very thrilled to be with everyone. So overall, I've got a 20+ career, 20+ years of career and experience with multinationals and oil and gas companies, mainly operators. I'm focusing on procurement and supply chain. I've also worked with the big operators in the market, BP, Rosneft, and Apache, including their joint ventures with the government, EGPC, Helda, and GAPCO. Great exposure in there. So these sectors are very highly governed and structured. And I've actually worked in the $100 million agreements with large, of course, corporations like Schlumberger, Halliburton, along with other partners in the oil and gas like Total, Danagas, and all of these. Working with them makes me very experienced and in depth in how to set the very long-term structure of services in particular, and how to make sure that we have the very well trained suppliers that are working in such very complex industries. I'm also a certified corporate director and an MSIPS. It's another kind of a master degree in procurement. And I've taken all such a great experience into starting my own consulting and training firm. It's basically focusing on the governance, operating models, and procurement. Above all of this, and as a non-oil and gas kind of sector, or a non-related oil and gas, I'm also a fitness personal trainer, certified relationship coach, and I help to, I'm using all of this to help the undergrads and the young people, and also women in energy, to plan their careers and improve their life kind of style, however they want to do that. So that's overall my background, very oil and gas kind of focused, but I'm trying to diversify this through my own company.
That's quite amazing, Angie. Top, let me dig a little bit deeper. What was your motivation to join this program? When did you join it? And at that point in time, what was the point in your career, and what got you to join the Executive MBA?
By my 12th year with BP, I've been with the company consecutively for so many years. So I felt a very deep desire that it's about time to expand my exposure, and also to benchmark myself and compare myself with other professionals in different industries. Because when you're focused in one single business, like an upstream business, it's an amazing one, very well structured, but you're still in a bubble. So I think it's very useful mid-career in particular to reach out to different people, look for the mentors, and look for a very similar program like this to see what's happening out there.
Fantastic. That's quite amazing, quite an amazing journey, Angie. Mustafa, let me jump to the other side. You come from a very different background from the financial services sector. So tell us a little bit about your career throughout your long journey.
Thank you, Doctor, and thank you, everyone. Pleasure speaking to you all. Well, I think, yeah, I come from a different background, but I also studied engineering, which is another different background. So my name is Mustafa Al-Shiniti. I'm a managing partner at Zela Capital and head of investment banking. Zela Capital is a regional boutique investment bank based out of Dubai and Abu Dhabi, regulated by the EDGM. We have offices across the region. So we have in Dubai in the DFC, in Abu Dhabi, in Riyadh, in Cairo, and in East Africa in Nairobi. We're a group of 6 executive partners. I was part of this firm since we started, and this was actually a part of a merger, which I'll probably touch base on later. I had the investment banking practice, and I co-had it with my colleague Khalid Gemel, who used to had the investment banking in EFG Hermes for 20 years. And then once he left EFG, we joined forces together. My core role is advising clients on their investments. So whether it's M&As, mergers, acquisitions, debt financing, restructuring, and publicly listed companies and equity capital markets. My main focus is definitely financially driven, but it's also very wide exposed to business in general. So as we advise our clients, I'm very sector agnostic. So I do advise on pharma, healthcare, real estate, oil and gas, telecom, education. So it's quite challenging. You need to be aware of everything. So I started my life as an engineer. So I studied engineering back then in Alexandria University, and studied communication engineering. And from day one, I recognized that I'm not a typical engineer, and I need to probably do more into finance and business. But I enjoyed studying engineering, so I had to continue. The moment I finished, I did some postgraduate studies in London Business School. I spent a few months there in LBS, and then I studied also in Dubai in CAS Business School. And I started my career as a management consultant for a couple of years, and then afterwards I started my investment career as a partner in Multiples Group in Dubai. And after 8 years, we merged with Zela Holding to form Zela Capital, which I'm currently serving as the managing partner of. That's in a nutshell. I've had a great experience in the Executive MBA, and also once I finished, I had the opportunity also to participate with the in the AMBA and BGA Excellence Awards, and I'm happy I've represented the AUC, and we were able to win the Entrepreneurship Award that year, which was also one of the nice achievements I've had in my career.
Well, that's quite an amazing journey, going through all of these things. Let me ask you about your motivation again, but also with a different angle. You've been around, you've worked in different countries, you've studied in different countries. So what was your motivation to join the Executive MBA, and specifically this program?
Well, I think in essence, as part of a professional services career, that's a prerequisite. I assume anyone on this webinar who's part of any professional service career, they have to continue learning till the last day. So that was kind of a prerequisite to expand on my career and to expand on my achievements. That from one angle, but from the other angle, when I did my postgraduate studies in LBS back then, I recognize how important executive education is, and how I need to continue doing this. And for some restrictions, I couldn't do the Executive MBA outside of Egypt, so I had to do it in the AUC, and I've never regretted. So I remember when I was asked in the interview, Dr. Sherwood asked me why AUC. I said because I couldn't travel anywhere else. She told me, "Oh, that's a very bad intro." I told her that's the reality, but now I'm very grateful for the opportunity. So that was the real objective.
That's quite amazing. And I think when we think about the program at AUC, it's a very international program. Some of the faculty are Egyptian, but all of them have international experience. Some of them are also international in their background. By way of introduction, let me also introduce my background, so I think it's relevant on that part. I spent half of my career in the US. I did my PhD in MIT, worked in consulting, was in McKinsey for 5 years, then starting my own consulting company. And then I moved back to Egypt about 13 years ago. And since then, I've been working at the AUC, and most of my work has been on the entrepreneurship startup side. Created AUC Venture Lab, our startup accelerator, and I've been working with entrepreneurs and startups in every single dimension possible, which is probably the part that makes me proud of creating championing great Egyptian entrepreneurs. And I also sit on several boards and financial services companies. So from my perspective as a faculty, and this probably cuts across the board with everybody, is bringing both academic and professional experience to the classroom. So this is not an academic program per se. It's a program that mixes academic content with professional experience, with a very mature cohort that is very impressive, as you've seen with Mustafa and Inji and the rest of the everybody who went through this program. They come with similar backgrounds. Let me jump to another dimension, which is about your experience during the program. So Inji, how is that experience, whether on the personal side, managing your time, balancing your professional career, as well as the courses that you took, your experience in those courses and the diversity, the kinds of instructors that you have. So tell us a little bit about that part of the story.
During the Executive MBA, you get really priceless access to amazing professional network and mentors. You're definitely one of the greatest, I have to admit. And that guided me throughout my whole journey since I graduated. And during the program, you learn all about the different perspective through amazing friends, and you start like you're all strangers, you don't know each other. And we're around, I mean, we're a kind of small class that we go through the entire journey together from day one till the end. So you build amazing friendship and quality ones. And of course, you learn how to deal with different personalities and the different projects that you get to have and work on during the program. So this is really a great benefit that you would learn also from the Executive MBA. So networking is amazing. And the Executive MBA alumni and the huge quality of mentoring network, this is a great benefit that we get out of the program. My favorite module, I would say, the first one is change management. And Dr. Namrata, as an amazing profile as well, she sets very high standard in general. And all the professors are very carefully selected. We can see very strong profiles. And this, of course, adds on to the overall quality of the program. That's not, of course, not to mention the Kellogg's Business School. It's an amazing international exposure along with the HK University. I know this has changed, but we had an amazing exposure in the US and in Asia with such top schools. You learn, it's a great eye opener from different perspectives from international great professors in big schools like these, very highly reputed ones. Managing really the time overall throughout the program, we were a little bit less, we were not as lucky as the current program. We had our programs over 1 year. It was very condensed. Nevertheless, because it was over long weekends, we managed still to balance our office time with the program. And the travels were still okay to manage it. It's just I needed to consume my annual holidays overall. But very happily and enjoyably to do this with the program. I'd say very intense, very transformative to every person. In my class, at least, every person had a great and a major change in their life. So yeah, this is my personal experience, and definitely it helped me change a lot in my career and how I was leading my personal development overall.
Inji, you mentioned the change management course by Namrata. If you can tell us a little bit in a couple of minutes, what was special about that course? What did you get out of it? I think it's very exciting to hear about that specifically in a time of a lot of change and turbulence.
In all the big corporates, you keep hearing about the change management and how it's not an easy thing to process it and to drive the real change. But during this course, she really talks about what could stop such a change. And one of her famous statements that she used, strategy could eat environment could eat strategy for breakfast. And this tells you that you really need to work on the company environment and the company culture before you drive any change. What I've really taken out of this course is how to see whether this company is ready for change or not. What do you need to drive such a change? Any kind of showstoppers is really what kind of tools you need to resolve such challenges that you would face. It's not only about the people and the process, but it's a combination of the overall operating model that you have in a company, and also the people's aspect is to understand what's really happening on the ground. So she took us through a journey that is very rich. Yes, not over months on a very condensed executive course, but she showed us a lot how to make it really happen. And also, what are the things that would never make it happen? So you do not waste your time on a specific project that it will never happen.
And it's very interesting that you still remember some of those specific quotes several years later. I'm sure
I
some
still
of the
use it all the time when I know that it will not work.
Mustafa, so tell us a little bit about your experience as well in the program. What was that like, and any stories that you would want to share?
I think that as India said, it's a transformation phase. So when you hear this from the alumni, you feel this is overrated, or maybe this is just marketing for the program. But the reality is this is the reality. So it is definitely very time consuming, and it takes lots of energy. But as you start to enjoy this, you start to feel that you're disconnecting to connect. So yeah, you are disconnecting in the weekends, but you're connecting to a different part of your objectives that serves the core objective of your career, but also lots of personal reflections and development. I would say that you reflect a lot. You do, in the busy world we're living, you merely reflect. So you're always running, you're always acting, you're always reacting, but you don't really reflect on your decisions and your key actions. I remember your core question, and after every part of the module, any reflections, any questions, any reflections, any questions. So reflections as important as questions. So I reflected a lot during those 2 years on many decisions I've taken in my life, and career decisions, personal decisions. That's one part. The network I've built from different colleagues, not only from my cohort, but I've had the luxury to connect with other cohorts because of the COVID, and we had to attend some modules together. So building a big network of very strong, well-educated, highly intellectual, well-connected colleagues helped a lot, helped on the reflections and the questions and the discussions, but also helped post the executive MBA. So till today, we're meeting every month. We are having lots of business engagements. I wouldn't say only with my colleagues, but also with my professors. I've done several business engagement with my professors, which is a great added value you wouldn't find in any different module. I think some of the modules was very effective for me. Definitely the change management, that was our first one, and that was very transformational one. But not to repeat what Inji has said, I think the teamwork for me was very insightful. It seems like a very basic interpersonal skills course, but it was very eye-opener for me. I deal with a lot of people, different sectors, I mean, and different even backgrounds, and I realized that I need to be more open. I need to be more accepting. I need to be more diverse in my views. The teamwork program, on how simple it seems, but it was really a very eye-opener for me on this angle. The business law module at the first stage, I didn't see it relevant to the whole MBA, but that was one of my best modules and was very beneficial for me even in my career as an investment banker. The entrepreneurship program with module we've attended together with you, I'm a very different animal, I would say, with the private equity and valuations. So learning about VCs and entrepreneurs and startups and how to value them, and the very interesting discussions we've had, it was also very good opportunity. And I think the strategic management as well, that one was also of great experience. So yeah, I'm now reflecting backward and looking back, but that was a great the great ones I remember.
This is fantastic, Mustafa, and I think when you're talking about the reflection part, that's extremely important. I think for many people in the middle of their careers and very successful, you're always thinking about the next part of the journey, what's next, especially if you feel that you've reached your peak and now you've got to figure out what's in the next horizon. And a lot of reflection happens in the conversations, listening to very specific stories, anecdotes, pieces of information that help get that. And actually, for me, even as a faculty, listening to the stories helped me personally reflect on a lot of what I'm doing. So I think the conversations that happen in those classes are very productive. Small number of like-minded executives, but very diverse in their backgrounds, family businesses, finance, operations, and so on. I think there's a lot of value of getting outside of a very specific bubble, as Angie mentioned, and moving to listen to other diverse people from diverse backgrounds, but very similar probably stage in their careers and lives, reflecting on what's next. Now, let me jump to the next point. We talked a little bit about the courses, we talked about the experiences. Let me talk about the impact that this had on your career. So you both graduated from this program several years ago, and you're doing a lot now, but sometimes some things are similar, some things have changed. So I would be very curious to hear about the impact that this program had in your career, whether in continuity or change dimensions. Angie, let's jump in.
I love this piece. Apart from white hair and some wrinkles that got nothing to do with the Executive MBA, it's the aging. So I've actually left my favorite company after a year and a half from graduation. And I started to seek smaller projects because I wanted to get wider exposure. And I've done the different operators and different companies. And that's how I started my own consulting right now. So it was my aim, I would say, right after I had left. But I think I needed more mentoring and coaching throughout the years after I had left my long years, consecutive long years in one corporate, to restructure the way I think and the way I would work, because you cannot jump suddenly from a corporate life to your own. You need some fine tuning and sharpening of different skills, and you need to learn a lot. And I have to admit that being on my own right now, it's a very enjoyable journey because I'm learning new things every single day. I'm doing things I've never done in my life before, and it's a great learning curve, regardless to where it's going to take me. But I'm very willing to do that. And I did not feel that I had the guts and the strength back then to do it. So now I feel it is the time, and at least I'm ready for it. And that's, again, with my experience from the Executive MBA, with the amazing network that I built from this program, and it got wider and wider, and I learned now how to widen it. So this is one great impact, and also is how to continue to educate yourself and develop, because when you are in a specific sector, whether it's an amazing one or you're not happy with it, there's so many other stuff that you would need to learn and see what's happening in the world. So the wider exposure is very important, and of course with the network and with my friends that I built throughout the Executive MBA and outside the network, that's how I can learn about new things to learn and to move on. So that's mainly my my impact, or the impact I had. Yeah.
That's quite amazing, Angie. I think that's quite a journey with a lot of change in the past few years. Mustafa, what are your thoughts? How was the impact after you finished the program?
And I think the impact came within the program because, as I mentioned earlier, I was undergoing a potential merger between my first company, which is Multiples Group, and Zella Holding, and I needed to take the decision first that this is the right thing to do, is to merge with this company and to partner up with new partners, but also after taking the decision to be able to do the change with all what it entails, whether it's DNA, cultural change, or organizational change on the hot side. So I've had the opportunity, and that was definitely not by design, to undertake this merger in the 2 years of the MBA. So that was just a coincidence. So it was like a big case study for me, just to implement whatever I was getting to learn on the ground during this merger. And I'm glad that not only the merger succeeded, which is not very common in mergers, but also we've built one of the very prestigious, well-known investment banks in the country, being one of the top 5 now, and I'm part of this. So that was not the design, not the plan, not even the ambitions, but now that's the reality, and maybe that's why we've got the Excellence Award of Entrepreneurship back then from the EMBA and BGE. So that on the very strategic level, it helped me big time, and I think the return on investment was very high for me. So I'd never regret the investment I made. And I'm sure Marwa, many will ask you, what's the return on investment on the 35K? If I tell them my case study, I made lots of money out of this.
Well,
But the on the micro level, I think which much more important for me is two things. As I mentioned, it helped me to accept diversity and to get to work with more different people. That helped me to scale up advising on a very diverse sectors and different type of companies, especially family offices, which is my core business now, advising family offices and family groups. So you need to understand them well, and having the opportunity to work with many colleagues who are different than me during this cohort was very beneficial. The other side is macro management versus micromanagement. I would say I was kind of a micromanager in the last whatever years I've worked. This executive MBA pushed me harder to scale up my career, but not as a micromanager, but as a macro manager. Those are my reflections on how I found it very beneficial.
Thank you, Mustafa. I think this is very interesting, actually reflecting on those couple of points. The profile of the candidates in the program, we have a very interesting mix of family business owners, typically second generation, who are running a substantial business, and they're looking for opportunities to kind of get out of the day-to-day bubble and reflect, as you mentioned, and learn something new. They're not looking to change their careers because they're managing the family business, but they're looking to actually professionalize, grow, and take that family business into a different stage. And we've had a lot of people from some of the top family businesses in Egypt join the program. The other one comes from professionals, whether in finance, in other industries like both Mustafa and Inji, who are actually kind of reaching a substantial peak in their careers and looking for, how do I transform this career? How do I grow on a personal level and professional level? And thinking about that experience. And I think having both of them in the classroom is very enriching, because you get to learn about businesses from different dimensions, and you get to work together. Let me take that point to actually telling you all about the graduation, the capstone project that we do at the end, which is probably one of the most exciting courses that I teach. We work with an existing company, and typically that company is actually owned or managed by one of the candidates in the course itself, which gives us unlimited access. And we work on a real problem or challenge or opportunity that's facing that company. In some cases, we had actually more than one case, we had a company that's expanding to different countries in Africa. And was looking for a market scan, and the team was looking for which country to go to. And I remember we had Ghana and we had South Africa as potentials. In other situations, it was a turnaround case. In other situations, it was a growth expansion. Sometimes it was product related. In all cases, this was a CEO agenda type of question, and asked by an actual business leader or owner. And the team worked for an extensive duration, 6 to 9 months, depending on which cohort, working with the client on actually using a consulting approach to actually work with them on developing the program solution, answer, roadmap for that. So it's a very interesting and enriching experience. And what I learned from the projects, every year we have 3, 4, 5 projects, depending on the numbers. Is actually quite amazing exposure to different sectors and the industry with different kinds of problems. So maybe Inji and Mustafa, if you can reflect a little bit about the project that you've seen in your cohort, what were they? What was the learning out of it? Tell us a little bit about that point.
Okay. So it was a very, very unique program, to be honest. And the project capstone, it was it was just like the end. And the most hectic experience you would have by the end of the program. It's like all your learnings, you're putting them together. So we had one of our colleagues in our class. It's a family business that they were looking for a business development opportunity. And 5 of us were part of this group to work on this. We first had different ideas. We all came up with it. We had to evaluate these ideas. And then we had to do a very extensive market research, He was working in the free zone and the duty-free zone, basically. And he wanted to do business development for this kind of business. So we came up with an idea for him in the local market. And I think that the real learning from all of this is an extensive market research that we could all work on together. The other one is to add all the different experiences and different perspective from the group, because we all came from completely different backgrounds, so we thought differently about different things. And also what I've also seen in that one, by the end of the program, I've seen a great transformation of people changing and performing completely different in comparison to the first module that they attended in this program. Of course, I have to admit also that we've done all of this with a lot of feedback from our professor that we can all see on the screen. And we would just do one slide. We're almost done, and we think we've done an amazing job. He would come and give us all the feedback, and we just start again from scratch. In the beginning, it was like, what is going on? But with every single comment and that we had to rework everything, we were learning something new. And right after that, definitely our skills were way sharper than when we started this. Also learning from the other colleagues' portfolios and projects, that was just amazing how to see things were just progressing over the overall in that phase or in the last project. Thank you, Dr. Ayman, for all the skill sets that we needed to sharpen during that time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Angie. And I hope you don't hold any grudges against the slides that you had to redo.
Never. Now we know the value.
Thank you. Mustafa, thoughts about the project and specifically the one that you...
Yeah, I think the big lesson I've learned on this project is again working with a team for a few weeks or a few months that you did not select, so you don't select your team members and you don't select the project, or you're partially selecting the project but not necessarily fully acquainted of the backgrounds or the dimensions of the project. So it's quite challenging, I would say, the team spirit and the team dynamics, and you became friends and family. So you have to adapt together, and you have to come up with especially when you have some competitive colleagues who want to be the best and others are a bit relaxed. And at the end, you need to come up by the end of the project as successful friends. So that was a challenge in itself. The project itself, it was in the EV business, electric vehicle business, and the charging stations, and the advancements of this part of the world, how to adopt this in the Egyptian economy, and serving one of our clients who was an electromechanical contractor and was moving into service provider into the EV business, who is, by the way, Inge's relative, and was a great colleague. So we had a great with Ahmed El-Baroui, was a great exposure to the EV business, where we studied the whole market, not only the EV business market, but also the automotive business and the evolution of it, and how do we see the adoption of the electric vehicle business in Egypt, and the competition with the government, and the price escalation of the electricity. So it's quite challenging because you had to look into regulations, rules, and also adoption expectation, I would say, for using EVs, and accordingly match the investments. And at the end, you need to come up with a business model. So it's not a market research, not a general consulting assignment. It's a business case where you need to come up with a business plan, certain investments, return on investments. So we worked together, and I think we reached a good conclusion. And I've bought an electric vehicle car out of this project as well.
This is super interesting, and I think it's quite amazing when you're working on things that are actually really trending, really in the market.
Yeah.
I remember the knowledge that I learned about the electric vehicle car, and before anybody was talking about it, and now everybody's talking about electric vehicles, the charging stations, the network, the new business opportunities in that space, conversion, startups starting in that space. And we were talking about this 2-3 years earlier than the rest of the market. and really digging deeper into the numbers. I remember in the middle of the course, actually, there was a regulation that was issued probably a few days before the final presentation. Everybody was talking about, okay, what does that new regulation offer in terms of the business opportunity? Do we need to change the presentation or not? That was quite an interesting real life case that was very exciting to go through. If anybody, I know that there were some questions that were floating, but most of them are about logistics, which Yasmin has answered. If anybody has questions to Inji and Mustafa, please type them in the chat. If not, then we'll move to our closing reflections. So maybe we'll wait for a second for any potential questions, but until then, Inji and Mustafa, I'll ask you about final reflections about the program and your journey there. And unless we have questions by then we'll wrap up and conclude. So Inji, thoughts, final reflections and thoughts.
I would say that I've gained the amazing people from a professional perspective, and I will continue to talk about the people because you struggle with the different personalities at work, and you think that, oh God, these people, they're very difficult to deal with. But it needs a good knowledge of self-awareness and others' personality awareness that you learn how to get the best of every person around you. And it's something comes with practice and knowledge about yourself and others. So this is an area that I've definitely worked on right after the program that helped me collaborate way better, communicate also better with others. So the sky's the limit by all means, and this program will teach you that you have a lot of other potentials, and at least if you not realize your real potentials, you will have the tools to figure out what are your real potentials and passion that you could seek right after. If you decide to grow, you will have the right tools to grow, definitely.
It's quite interesting, Inji, because I think most people, when they think about an academic program, let me go and do a graduate program, go back to school after 10, 20 years of experience, they're thinking more about the content. And what you're saying is that, yeah, the content is there, but there is a lot about the personal development, the leadership development, working with people, reflecting on where you're heading. I personally think that's probably more valuable. Even this is not the reason that brings many people to the program and to programs in first place, but it's actually probably the top of the list when we reflect with people, graduates of that specific program after they graduate several years later. It's more of the impact on their leadership and personal experience.
I fully agree. So your soft skills definitely get sharper. Your leadership, your intelligence, your emotional intelligence is definitely in a different level once you're done with the Executive MBA, because you're not only dealing with people from the same industry. For example, for me, coming from a corporate, dealing with a private business and the family business is completely different, and the mindset and everything is totally different. So learning all about this definitely helps you a lot to grow on the other side, whether in corporate or you take it privately. But personal skills, soft skills, definitely in a different horizon.
Mustafa, thoughts, closing reflections?
Yeah, I think a couple of points on my end. I've had the opportunity in the last few cohorts to talk to several applicants who were just thinking out loud and having some questions. So we had a one-on-one talks with many, and out of those many discussions, I had few, I would say, key questions or concerns. So let me say them out loud here. The first part was about the time constraint and how would I be able to handle this. It's with the lives, with our typical lifestyle, stressful lifestyle, and also busy career. So my take here is yes, it is time consuming, but it's probably the best time consuming thing you would like to do. So you need to have, you need to put yourself into this to be able to develop yourself. So continuing education is something that you should not compromise on. And I think it's also the direct benefit on your daily life and your daily career is very quick. So you will not regret this. I wouldn't say you will have lots of happy moments and happy weekends. They are stressful 2 years, busy 2 years. I wouldn't say stressful, but busy 2 years. But they're very exciting and and value adding when you get to finish them and during the process itself. So it's not a boring program. It is a very exciting one, and you meet your colleagues and friends, and you travel and you meet different faculty members every time. So it's very exciting as well. So this is for the time. For the budget, which is always the question I get is it expensive, over expensive? Is it a good return on investment? And whether should I do it here or I travel, I do it outside? Again, my answer for this would be definitely it is worth the investment because we've seen many of our friends and colleagues investing millions and millions in apartments and cars and whatever. So comparing this kind of investment to the typical investments we make on every day, I think it's worth it. We're just not used to invest in education and personal development and career development. So it's a mindset, but it's doable and it's worth it. And whenever you take the decision and you move forward, you find it in a way or another achievable and doable. And thanks to the AUC for several rounds of review for the fees and also the recent waiver. Comparing it to the international programs, and that's a common question I'm getting because there are other price competitive, I would say, international programs in Dubai recently. And my answer here is there's no right and wrong. It's a personal preference. If you want to travel more to Dubai, if you want to attend virtual, it's a decision. But my experience is having this physical modules in person is worthless. I mean, it's worth a lot. So if you would like only to get this I would say British or international name, you have the American University name, but you will miss the day-to-day interactions with the professors and colleagues, and that you will not get by an international virtual executive MBA. That's one. The other part is, though everyone is a fan of international faculty, they've been great and they've been of great added value. But my experience, to be very honest and frank here, the local Egyptian faculty members were way better, way relevant into our daily life problems, the cases they were giving, the interactions. They give different flavor and a different added value. So you will miss a lot by being. I started in London and spent a few months in London in LBS, one of the big international business schools. But you miss the local and the regional challenges. And this is something you came here to learn about. So those are my reflections and the questions I've always been getting on the Executive MBA in AUC in specific.
Thank you, Mustafa.
And I'm not paid, and I'm not paid to promote to the.
This is very insightful, and I think a lot of these points are the questions that come to everybody's mind when they're thinking about making a decision. Should I do this program? Is it the right program for me at this point in time? What would I get out of it? What's your ROI, as you mentioned, comparing to other opportunities locally and internationally, the direct and indirect benefits that you get out of something like that. And I think this is a very realistic perspective on a lot of those questions that are probably going on people's minds, and maybe I would have loved to see more of those questions actually being directly asked. So thank you, Mustafa, for that. I think we're getting close to the end, but let me reflect on a couple of things. You mentioned network, and this program specifically enjoys a very small class, which allows for building very, very close relationships between the candidates who get into that program. And after the program, I've seen individuals co-investing together. I've seen some of them sitting on the boards of some of the family-owned businesses. I've seen some of them becoming best friends that are going out and their families getting to know each other. I've seen some of them that actually created partnerships between their companies. So it's a very close very close relationship that's built between a small group of people who have a lot of kind of things to look out for in terms of their lives and careers. And I find this to be really, really enriching. And for most of us as faculty, myself and many of the other faculty, we've stayed in touch with many people who are in that program. And we always enjoy that relationship, the call that comes 5 years later on how are things happening in the business and what's next, and the excitement when you see someone building a company, merging a company, growing a business, implementing a project that we had in class. So I think some of those things are very real, and they really resonate for us. I teach a lot of programs and I've taught in different places, but this is, I always tell Marwa, this is probably my most favorite one because of that kind of quality and depth that you will find in the classroom, and also the intensity of the experience that is beneficial both ways. So thank you everybody for being here. I'll hand it back to you, Nelly, and thank you so much, Angie and Mustafa, for the fantastic conversation. This has been really insightful and helpful. Nelly, back to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ayman, and thank you, Angie, Mustafa, Marwa, and of course, Yasmin with the questions. We have actually one more question from Rami for Angie and Mustafa about tips for time management. I know I know Mustafa said some of that. I think we just lost him now for a second, but maybe Angie can tell us her tips and tricks for keeping a healthy schedule during this program.
Well, Mustafa's back, so I'll give my personal opinion and what I personally have done. So you do actually get a clear agenda of all the different modules, the dates and the travel plans and everything. When you plan in advance and you, of course, you let your company management and the house, the partner is very important to be aware of your timing as well. So when you plan it ahead, you will be able to have a very good time management in comparison to the work, personal life, and your education. It is consuming of your time and effort. So bear in your mind that you may not have time to do a lot of things that you've used to done. I at a certain point, I had to give up some of my fitness routine that I used to have, but it's worth it. You will add some kilos, you will lose something, but don't worry, you're gonna have them back once you are done. Sometimes you won't be able to sleep. It's okay. Take the journey. If you have any issues, you can reach out to the old alumni and ask how we've tried to resolve it and what we have done. And something else, trust me, in the first two classes, so we had a lot of feedback and that we have shared, and everybody listens in the management and they help you throughout your whole journey. So every single time you have something, you will find people supporting you and giving you their advice and their experience. And in no time, you will feel all the support and everything. So you have a great team supporting you at the AUC. You've got great alumni that will be able also to help if you can reach out. And Marwa manages a lot of reunions. So it's a great one. And you will build an amazing family that when you get older, you'll definitely need it from a professional and personal side. I hope I have helped. But you won't take any vacations, so bear in your mind, no Sahel, no Red Sea, and all of this. Sorry, Mustafa, please share, because I don't think you've heard the question. They're asking
I've heard.
how you've okay. Please share
I've heard
your
the question.
experience. I hope it's different.
Not very different. I think it's all about the weekends. I mean, we all don't have enough time in weekdays, so don't assume you will be able to put more pressure on the weekdays, especially in such turbulent times. So my routine was, and I think I'm quite good in routine and self-discipline. So my routine was, we have 4 weekends. One weekend was for the module, and we have pre-module readings and post-module assignments. So the pre-module readings, I used to do it in the previous weekend, not necessarily Friday and Saturday, because that's too much. Probably 3, 4, 5 hours in a Saturday morning. And the post-module assignment was on Saturday, the post-module as well. So I used to have one weekend fully free every month, and the other 2 weekends only Fridays in a way or another, and one completely blocked for the module. It worked because I've seen my colleagues struggling with trying to do it during the weekdays, in the evenings, between. I mean, it's quite. It needs some dedication. So once you have taken the decision, you need to dedicate some time, and once it becomes a routine, you get to used to it. By the end of the 2 years, you're very exhausted. You want to break out, but by that time, you will find it worth the effort.
Thank you so much, Angie and Mustafa, for these insights. I want to thank everyone, or I feel like more questions are going to be coming now that we said we're wrapping up. So, but I want to thank Rami and Nada here, who are just saying really nice things about the session, and they're thanking you all. to thank everyone on the panel. I want to say I attended personally the capstone or part of it last summer, this last one, and it was very impressive to see these amazing projects being discussed and the feedback, like Angie mentioned, sometimes a little brutal feedback, but I think it's good for you. I think it's a pretty unique program, and I know Dr. Ayman sort of glossed over his profile, MIT and the consultancy. There's much more than that, and it's the same for other faculty members of this program. So it's really, you're learning from the best by joining this program. And I loved what Angie said about the personal skills that you get, not just the core academic skills that you learn. And I think Mustafa is the winner here. He made more money. He got an electric car. So I think this program, Mustafa wins. So
I tried to make the best return out of this investment.
No, you did very, very well. You made good use of everything you learned at the program. So thank you for that. And from the little time I've been working with Marwa and Yasmin, I know that anyone who joins this program will be in very good hands. So I encourage you all to start working on your applications and to keep, I'm sure you'll have more questions, to keep them coming. We put the contact information in the chat box. Email us, call us, WhatsApp us, check the website. And again, the deadline is November 30th. So we still have about a little more than 6 weeks to go. So I think we're good with time there. So thank you all again. This session is also recorded, so we're going to be sharing the recording on our Newton Education Services pages. So in case any of your colleagues or friends who missed the session, they can also get to see it there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Best
you.
of luck.
Thank you, everyone.